there's like 3 contradictions just within this statement. And that's what really makes me think that what happened was this whole lawsuit idea was something she cooked up, like geeked out on something, geeked out on Hasan's cum, and was like, how am I going to get back at Ethan? So like, this is straight up like it was a social experiment. I'm merely pretending to be retarded type like response. All right. In the battlegrounds of the Third Intifada, everybody's competing for Lord Hasan's attention, the Turkish tyrant, the malignant mullah, and one of his most prominent members of the harem, Denims. She's been in the kitchen, saucing, but what she's cooked up is scamming her audience as part of a social experiment. So I did talk about this on Monday, but I didn't include it in the VOD, and that stream went unlisted. So I'm going to talk about it again because basically it talks about it too early. Now we finally have the conclusion to that story, and it's funnier than most 99% of the options, right? Okay, so what happens here? So after Ethan says the truth, which is that Denims is at least partially responsible for the CPS call, given that she did an entire stream where she had Ben Empanada on, had him pitch the case for why CPS should be called, just straight up, and then basically agree with him and say, wow, it sounds like a dangerous environment to create, just classic concern trolling. Ethan decides to just say the truth, which is that she is at least partially responsible. And I guess Denim saw this as her opportunity. It's like, yes, how to get attention? How do I make Ethan the bad guy? Oh, I know, a frivolous lawsuit. So first she puts up a GoFundMe where she's begging for money. And of course, she's begging it not from her audience as much as she's begging it from Hasan's audience, because they're one and the same. I mean, this lady is basically just the waiting room for Hasan. And, and that's what everybody says. It's like not a new observation. But anyway, the point is, she asked for money from this audience that just gave $200,000 on a charity stream to pull Creator Clash's chestnuts out of the fire. And she asked for even more money for this frivolous lawsuit over whether she's responsible for the CPS call. And so here's the letter so she hadn't filed the suit yet, but she sent a demand letter to Ethan. And the demand letter here, there's like a couple problems with it. Number one is that, so basically in defamation law, if you can't prove that it's defamation there's certain categories of claims that are defamation per se. It's like calling someone a pedophile, saying they have AIDS, saying they've committed a crime. And for those, you don't actually have to prove damages. So you don't need to prove that you were damaged by the claim, just that it was made. And everybody wants their defamation to be per se for that reason, because it essentially removes an element, a barrier that you need to jump over when you file your complaint. And what I was wondering when I heard about this is, how is this bitch going to get this to be defamation per se? Like what category is this going to fall under? And the argument that her lawyer makes here is that it's per se because they're accusing her of committing a crime. Okay, what crime? Committing a criminal act such as fabricating a criminal charge against another or making a false report to an official agency. Here's the problem. Ethan did not claim that she made a false claim to CPS. Ethan claimed that she said that was a dangerous environment and that it would make sense for people to call CPS. So it's like you can't, this is the issue, is the way that she portrayed this was that it wouldn't be fraudulent. What would fit under this claim is if she went on stream and said, look guys, we all know Ethan's house is safe. We all know that the kids aren't in danger, but fuck this high elf, call CPS anyway. That would be telling people to do a fraudulent claim. Saying, oh, here's this proof for why it's dangerous, and I really am concerned, and it should call. That's not fraud. That's not a fraudulent claim. You could say that the way she portrayed it is that she truly did believe it was dangerous. Now, that's crazy, right? It's not actually dangerous, but the point is that you can't, she would have to, for this to work, she would have to basically admit to the act. She'd basically have to admit and say, oh yeah, I said all that, portraying that it was dangerous because I knew it wasn't, which is itself a crime. So it's like, this is like a really big stretch for trying to make this libel per se, but it has to be libel per se because otherwise she'd have to prove damages, and that would be really hard. It'd be really hard to prove that she's actually suffered economic damages for Ethan just playing a video of her stream where she says a bunch of stupid shit. that's not true, right? Because truth is an absolute defense. We talked about this with the razor fist thing, of which nothing has happened about that. So anyway, so she grifts her audience. She asks for money for a GoFundMe, and you got to understand that nobody donating, like almost nobody donating to this, is donating to it because they care about a lawsuit, really, or because they care about, you know, her reputation. They just want to strike back at Ethan. And this is, you know, classic sectorization of like this community becoming more and more like the sector. This reminds me of there was dual fundraisers during when Ethan Ralph dropped his sex tape, where Ethan Ralph had a fundraiser about like, I need to see my kids, and then Faith had a fundraiser that's like, I gotta protect my kid from Ralph or whatever. Nobody donating either way to that, and it didn't get that much money, but my point is nobody donating either way to that did it because you know, they carefully considered the personal relationship of these two and the impact on the child and want to support one. They did it because the Ralph A-logs gave their money to Faith. Well, the dumb ones did, at least. And Gunk Guards gave their money to Ralph. The dumb ones, at least. This is another case of that. So she collects like 40-some thousand. I mean, we'll get to the number here in a minute. And everybody's criticizing her for this. They're like, first of all, this is just a big grift. Because usually what you do, the kind of legal fundraisers that works are almost always defensive in nature. And we can actually use Ethan as an example because I mentioned this in the 10-year recap video, because he got sued frivolously for React content, essentially, and criticizing this channel. And he did a fundraiser and he got a bunch of money and he used it to defend himself. Now, he also promised to use the excess money on starting a foundation fighting fake fair use claims, which he did not do. And that was a big, big stink. And he deserved all the shit he got for that. But the point is, the reason why it worked was because it was defensive in nature. It's very rare that you see someone try to fundraiser like this, give, send, go, whatever, for offensive legal action. And that's because, you know, there's already this perception of vexatious litigation in America, doubly so for fucking YouTubers, like people online and stuff, triply so for this sort of like leftist, wants to police speech type people. And so obviously Ethan responds both on, like a king, Ethan responds both on the stream and his lawyer. Now, whether responding on the stream was wise legally, probably not, but it provided good content and he was confident in his position, and you'll see here in a minute he's proven right. So here's his response. I haven't read this yet, so let me do that real quick. So obviously, the reason he says this, not inclined to provide a more substantive response. You don't want to give up the ship, right, in the response. You don't want to give up what your defenses are going to be, the specifics in the response. And here we go. Like, they just BTFO or send links where she directly acknowledges her contributing to the call. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's really all, and just more clips. Just, I mean, it's really that simple. Just sending the clips of the stream where she comes out and says, yeah, I think, you know, there really is a problem in the house, and like maybe someone should get involved, like that kind of gay shit, right? And they just provide the clips here. This is a pretty good response. And the reason why this is a good response is because it doesn't give up anything else, anything that's not public info, right? You'd be thinking, oh, the lawyer should just destroy her with like exactly what the defense would. No, you don't want to do that, because if she does sue you, you want to keep. You don't want to show all your cards, right? So all he does here, the lawyer in response, just show like, okay, here are the public streams, bitch. Like, what are you doing, right? So, and then almost, you know, like literally a day later, one of these tweets, right? This is the 10th. That was 3 days ago, and then this was like yesterday or something. Oh no, this is today, I guess, this morning. Denims comes out and says, actually, the whole GoFundMe was a social experiment. It was a prank, bro. Like, look at this. So 45K later, I'm refunding the GoFundMe. When I go for it as a plaintiff, I'll be self-funded. Do you know how bad this looks? Because not only are you not doing what you said you were going to do, number one. Number two, you're admitting to everybody that you could have funded this yourself. That was always an option. So this was all completely pointless. Number two. Number three, how does this make her look in the confidence of her claims? And this is like a legal thing. The thing about when you sue people, I said this in one of the other streams, if you're suing someone, you kind of have to make yourself look like a bitch, right? Because you have to prove to the court and to the jury that you're a victim. when you come here and you say that you're not even sure if you're actually going to sue now, it makes it seem like you are not confident in your claims. And it says, the suit against Ethan is a monumental undertaking. Again, if you really believed that what he was saying to you was so bad and so damaging, it rises to the standard of defamation, the monumental undertaking would be worth it. And when you say that it might not be worth it, it doesn't look good. And they would bring this up if it ever did go to proceedings. So proceeding with the defamation suit against Ethan is a monumental undertaking. His suit with Kavanaugh started almost 4 years ago and is still ongoing. That's another thing. That's a stupid one too. Ethan was dumb for that one. Ethan himself has done some pretty dumb lawsuits. There's this one, and there's one where he's trying to sue like I don't know if he's actually filed it, but he says he's going to, suing anonymous Redditors. That was stupid too. I don't want to fundraise to start a fight that I can't finish. So, okay, I will be self-funded. I don't want to start, I can't finish. So I don't need your money because I can fund it myself. Also, I don't know if I can afford this. There's like 3 contradictions just within this statement. And that's what really makes me think that what happened was this whole lawsuit idea was something she cooked up, like geeked out on. I don't know. She just geeked out on something, geeked out on Hasan's cum and was like, how am I going to get back at Ethan? So like, this is straight up like it was a social experiment. I'm merely pretending to be retarded type like response. And so here's Ethan responding to, this is before Denims had brought it back. This was supposed to be before, but this is one of his responses to the initial retraction letter.
Denims. Don't sue me, Denims. Please. Please don't take the first legal action. What's that have to do with anything?
For clips.
So the reason he's saying that is because it's like, he's being sarcastic. He would rather have her take the first legal action because then if he wins in the sort of court of public opinion, he can then come in and destroy her. I want to use a different word, but I'll leave that. Nicholas does reviews of the word I'm trying to look for, but because obviously, you know, with like civil cases like this, you can get attorney's fees from the other party. And sometimes you can even get punitive damages, especially if they fail the anti-SLAPP lawsuit. And SLAPP is laws that are meant to prevent vexatious litigation. But yeah, I mean, this is just...
Denims is a giant turd-eating monster whose life, financially speaking, I'm going to probably not ruin, but I do want to put her in some... I do want to... I would like to put her into some financial...
Declaring bankruptcy?
Why don't you just chill? No, what's the proper verbiage on this?
So, unfortunately, we have there are 2 wolves inside Ethan right now. The high elf wolf that's vindictive and wants to say, I want to financially ruin her. And the other high elf wolf that's thinking about how it would sound in court when it sounds like, if he ever did any like counter actions, it sounds when you say that you're in this to ruin people, because you generally never want that to be a public statement. So these are the 2 high elf wolves inside Ethan battling right before our eyes.
Difficult day. How about no? See, that sounds too bad. I'm gonna put her into a pickle.
It doesn't sound serious enough. Pickle sounds like something like a funny.
Want to put her into a bit of a bind? We'll work on it. I'm kidding, by the way.
Yeah. So basically, what he's saying here is, if you sue, I hope you sue me. That way, I can countersuit you and take all your money. So this is her statement. I already brought this up. I think she made another. Here we go. Why issue a retraction letter and crowdfund if you weren't serious about it? Yeah, what a great question, Denims. I was and am. If CCC 48 applies, you must issue a retraction letter within 20 days of the defamatory statement before you can pursue a lawsuit. This is why, okay, yeah, but it doesn't say you have to run a GoFundMe, bitch. Like, you could have sent the letter out and not had a GoFundMe and then done the GoFundMe when you actually decide to sue. This is why Ethan was so prompt in his letter to Noah. I changed my mind about crowdfunding because I realized I didn't like the money-grubbing narrative. So what changed between when you made it and now that made you realize, oh shit, I'm begging for money as a millionaire? Normally, this wouldn't be an issue because I could just be transparent with how the money is spent, which you should be if you're crowdfunding. But over the length of time that a lawsuit would span, it isn't realistic, except people have done it before. Again, I brought it up. Ethan has been in a lawsuit where he crowdfunded. People have crowdfunded for lawsuits and not been shat on for not telling them how much money they spend on Sargento cheese. Anyone that's disappointed needs to realize they would have been waiting a very long time for any kind of emotional payout on this anyway. Very interesting that she acknowledges here that people would not be giving money to actually, like, help a righteous lawsuit, but rather to get an emotional payout for pwning a high elf. Great look there. And then it's easier to take my time on this when I'm not being perpetually scrutinized as a scammer. Oh my God. So you admit that that's what you look like for doing this, is that you look like a scammer. The reason you're being scrutinized as a scammer is because doing fake GoFundMe is what scammers do. To anyone that doesn't care about the money and just wants to see Ethan take L's. Okay, so again, she acknowledges that that's all this is about. This isn't about justice. This isn't about I was wrong. This is about punching high L's. The Kavanaugh suit will end before any potential lawsuit. Not to mention, if he does end up, well, the funny thing is she's assuming Kavanaugh's going to win that lawsuit. All he did was win the anti-slap. That doesn't mean he's going to win the case. And I don't even know if that's a good lawsuit either. I'm just saying that. Not to mention, if he does end up filing something against me, he won't. He won't now. Why would he? He'll just wait for you. He'll wait for you. Like, do nothing, win, you know? Like, it feels strange to crowdfund for a defamation, then why'd you do it? And for a defense at the same time, and mixing the funds feels even stranger. This is the cleanest way to move forward. So, the other thing that it seems like is that she really thinks Ethan's going to sue her anyway, even though, like we just listened in the last clip, Ethan really wants her to sue first so that he can be on the defensive. I don't think Ethan's going to sue her if she doesn't do it first. And this kind of just signals to him that the idea that I'm mixing money for defamation defense, just make 2 crowd funds. Take 5 freaking minutes, right? So yeah, basically she scammed $46K out of her audience for a social experiment, only to give it back before she could run away with the money because she realized there was basically no victory condition. It's like, oh, you get the money, you do the lawsuit, nothing happens. Like, there was just no victory condition from doing this. So it was all just pointless. And obviously the most entertaining way that this arc could have gone would have looked something like the lawsuit going forward and we get some crazy discovery. But she is right that would have taken years. And this is a pretty funny because it just shows how, why would you take anything this person does? Like, this person can't even think 3 days ahead. Like, they did this. They sent the retraction letter. They sent the legal threat letter and the retraction letter and put up the GoFundMe. And then within 3 days, it's like, wait, never mind. You know, it's it's a shame because, or not a shame. It's just funny because if this whole sector was like the sector that I always talk about, where any political element to it has been so diluted and so discredited that everybody kind of just understands what they are, which is just guys talking shit on the internet, this would be less bad for her. But when the first thing in your bio is largest female political Twitch streamer, like, I'm supposed to like read about theory from Denims, who can't even figure out what a defamation lawsuit is or whether crowdfunding is a scam until 3 days later. It's like, this person should not be running the country, or people running the country should not be listening to this person. And this is what we just looked at. And just her admitting that this is all just about him taking L's. So this is Ethan responding to this. In other words, her attorney explained to her that she had and would be liable to pay my attorney's fees. Unfortunately for you, I don't need anyone's money, and I don't like being threatened by the person harassing me. So what's interesting is it is kind of him threatening to sue her anyway, which I think is the wrong move if he's going to do that. But I think he's right here. I think what happened was Denims went to her lawyer, vastly misrepresented the events, which is why they wrote the retraction letter. Then the lawyer gets Ethan's lawyer's response that just shows all the clips where it's like, is this you? Like, this you, right? And the lawyer goes and's like, Denims, or Jean, I guess that's her name. It's like, isn't that funny? Her name is Jean and she's called Denims. I wish I was that clever. They call her up and is like, Bish, why are we suing for something? Why are we suing for defamation for something that's true? And then shut it down, right? Or an even funnier option, her lawyer dropped her when they found out she had erased out. Oh yeah, so the other part of this is that the worst stream of her saying call CPS, she unlisted, which normally wouldn't would just be like an online L, not an IRL L, but it gets into IRL L when you're filing a lawsuit, because then it's like you're disrupting discovery. And the point at which that becomes destruction of evidence, there's a debate about that. There would be a debate about that. It would be about when she decided to sue. And the problem is that there's a point on the calendar where you can definitively say you knew she wanted to sue, and it's when she sent that letter. And so if she unlisted the stream after she sent that letter, that would be a big like oopsie. So basically nothing happened. Okay. The other thing is Crazy Days and Nights. This is like a really famous website. It's basically Hollywood gossip, but the guys they have writing it, I don't know how many writers there are. I'll just say this. These guys hit way more than they miss. As in, there's some stuff that's been posted on here that sounds crazy. People don't know what, and they're blind items, so they don't put the names, they put like hints. And especially this guy, Entertainment Lawyer. This guy's a really good record of being correct about stuff. And so here's this one. I meant to talk about this on Monday and didn't. I'm glad I didn't now, because it'll fit better with this segment. But one wonders whether the crash out of this police YouTuber / money launderer, boxing promoter turned failed boxing promoter might have anything to do with his wife cheating on him again. So it's just so funny that all the jokes around IDub, because that's obviously what this is about. IDubs and Nisa are him being a cock. Because it's like the most confirmed cheating without actual direct proof. Because it's just the way they act around each other, the OnlyFans thing, the things Ethan does for men that Anissa has demonstrated like an attraction towards. Just all this stuff. And so this is like the closest we've ever gotten to direct confirmation. And I know, like, obviously this is just some like literal gossip blind item posting thing. But trust me on this. If there was any of these kind of websites to be correct about something like this, it's this one. These guys have a good record. Suffy. Yeah, I know. And it was only a matter of time, right? It was really only a matter of time that something like this would come out. I hope it does come out before Crater Clash 3, because that would just overshadow it even more and just be really funny.